In our genre, there's times where we have to talk about some things that are sobering. We have to talk about some things that can be stunning and staggering. We have to talk about some things that are, and many times, rather weighty. Our challenge, however, is to make sure that we don't end up talking about things that cause fear and breed fear and engender fear in the hearts and minds of people. Because if we do that, I think we are in violation of moral code. And I think that we're in violation of the admonitions of scripture as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And I want to talk about that. And I want to entitle this Fear is for Cowards. And I think it's cowards that put fear on people. And yeah, I'll just leave that statement right where it is and just let it hang there and dangle. Let's take a look in the chat room. Wendy, nice to see you. Tracy, always nice to see you. Lit T, nice to see you. I think I have an appointment with Lit T over the next few days for a LIFETRACK analysis, so we're looking forward to that. Rick and Delaney Jackson. I thought I saw Robert USN Vet. I did. T.L. Clark, Diana Rodriguez, Wendy W., Michelle Canham-Free, Brett Peters, Jean Adair, Rachel Stone. I'm Canadian. Sorry, eh? Serial killer. That's funny. Sorry, this jumped on me again. Charlene Rue, Freedom Seeker, Clinton Woods. You're welcome, Clinton Woods. The Joe Info, Jules, Rhonda Saffrit, Shadow Spirit 56, Randall Amundsen. Shalom to you. Wendy W. Think, and it jumped on me again. Think Agape Love, always and forever. That's great. Nick, Joshua, Bradley, Derek DeBusk. Thank you, sir. Valerie. Vivian Scott, Donna Keys, Divine Sight, Lou Machado. I'm listening but unable to participate at the moment. Driving as of now. I'll be Lou lurking. Happy Sunday, cousins. Vivian Scott, Azen Ravenholm, Melinda Brittle, Crystal Blue Persuasion. That was a good old song. Crystal Blue Persuasion. I'm a changed person after watching your video with Bob and Jay. You're welcome. I am Tammy, a warrior, not a coward. Kevin Martin, new to your stuff. Totally awesome. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Melanie Clark, yay, I made the live. Warrior Princess, laugh out loud. You know I'm in here. Lois is always here. And last, but certainly not least, the pastor. So let's talk about this, ladies and gentlemen. Expanding consciousness. Great. Awesome. Not Your Normal Sunday show. Thank you for that. It was a good one. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. There are lots of new people. Always glad to see new people. Sarah Spica, sending the love out. I want to break down the scripture for you. And again, it doesn't mean what they tell us that it means. Jacqueline Pritchard, and I think seeing what it really means makes a big difference to us. And understanding what it means makes an even bigger difference. So let's take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at this and let's see what we got. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. And let's go first of all just to the King James, bless God, so you can all read that and see that. It says, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And we could just leave it at that and talk about it just from the English. just from the King James and still get some diamond out of it. God has not given us the spirit of fear. And we could simply say that anything that gives us the spirit of fear is not from the divine. It comes from another source. So we've got to be careful, folks. I know there's, a lot of passion out there in the prepper community, a lot of passion out there in the, oh my God, Nibiru's coming community. And I was going to say, I don't mean to make light of that, but I kind of did. So you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of passionate people with a lot of passionate beliefs. And I would encourage you not to allow your passion to drive fear. Because if you do, you are not doing the work of the divine. And I would suggest to you that you're doing the work of the opposite. So when you're putting out your videos and you're writing your books and you're making your blogs and your websites, keep in mind that divinity, the divine, the true divine, has given us the spirit of power, the spirit of love, the spirit of a sound mind. And even if you're not sure what those things are, you know what the spirit of fear is, and you understand what the spirit of fear is. And I would encourage you not to be a person that engenders, that stokes up, that drives, that fans the flames of the spirit of fear. And it can be really, really tempting, and it can be really, really difficult not to do it, because fear makes for a lot of YouTube video, a lot of YouTube views. Fear makes for a lot of subscribers, and fear makes for a lot of AdSense revenue. It just does. Fear sells. And it's more palatable in our community than sex. So I can understand the temptation. And we have to also become more mature and discerning as consumers of content on YouTube. We've got to be able to look at something and say, that's fear. I don't want to be involved. We've got to be able to discern and seek out things that are of peace and that are of love and that are of a sound mind. So just as there is a responsibility on the providers of content, there's also a responsibility on the consumers of content. And if everyone stopped consuming fear, then everyone would stop producing fear. Because at the end of the day, if you're on YouTube, you want your videos to be watched. And if they're not being watched, you're going to do something different. So I guess we really control it when we refuse to listen to and watch and support the purveyors, be they intentional or even unintentional, of fear. Because I guarantee you, if the views start going down, 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 and the revenue starts going down, 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 their message will start going up, 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 because they'll stop doing the fear. Now, if you're waiting for me to name names, you're going to be disappointed because I'm not going to do it. But getting into this from an interlinear position, looking at what it actually says, I think is going to surprise you, because this verse does not mean what you think it means. I don't think this verse means what you think it means. It really doesn't. So God, and it's interesting that this is theos, not kairos, generally speaking, in the New Testament, the Lord, Marduk, Yahweh, Jehovah, rat bastard, is usually kairos, Kyrios. Generally speaking, the Elohim, or the true God of the Bible, is theos in the New Testament. So theos has not given us a spirit of, it's not fear, it's cowardice. How about that? We have not been given a spirit of cowardice. We have not been given a spirit of timidity. And we can look at 1169 for a little bit of understanding of the word cowardly, fearful, cowardly, timid, fearful. So 1167 is a derivation of 1169. 1169 is, of course, pretty much straight up fear. 1167 brings in cowardice and timidity. Timidity being kind of shrinking, timidity being kind of, pulling back. And this is, I don't like really reading here we go. Timidity and fear. And timidity and fear kind of go hand in hand, don't they? And if you think about it just in general terms, the true divinity has not given us a spirit of fear. And the true divinity has not given us a spirit of timidity either. Now, there is a need for respect. There is a need for discernment, but there is not a need for timidity. And as we always do, timidity, let's go ahead and define it, because I'm telling you, folks, if you go past a word that you don't understand, you reduce your ability to comprehend words beyond it by up to 60%. Timidity, lacking in self-assurance, lacking in courage, lacking in bravery, easily alarmed, shy, characterized by or indicating fear. So that gives us a more broad or a broader understanding of the term. Not only have we not been given fear, not only are we not given a spirit that is to cause us to be frightful, but we're also not giving us a spirit that should cause us to be lacking in self-assurance. And I don't know about you, but this whole idea that you're born with original sin and that you're on your way to hell unless you find a savior, salvation from a savior they provide, that can strike at your self-assurance. That can strike at your courage. That can strike at your bravery. That can make you easily alarmed, timorous, and shy. And it characterizes and indicates fear, in my humble opinion. We've not been given that spirit by the divine at all. No fear, no fear, no lack of self-assurance. You should be some of the most self-assured people around. You should be some of the most courageous people around. You should be some of the bravest people around. You should be some of the least easily alarmed people, some of the least shy people around, because listen, you're divine, you're sovereign, and you're free. And if you need a blood test, this is actually a good place to go. But we've not been given the spirit of cowardice. And you know what's cowardice? And I probably should just let this go, but what's cowardice is when you don't even watch a video and you start saying horrible things about the person that produced the video. That's cowardice. It really is. That is cowardice. But we'll let that be as it is. So if we've not been given the spirit of fear, we've not been given a spirit of cowardice, we've not been given a spirit of timidity, let's stop doing things and producing things and saying things and being things that are conducive to the pervasiveness and the growth of those type of spirits. But what have we been given? We've been given the spirit of power. We've been given the spirit of miraculous power, might, and strength. All of us have been given this. And this goes back to the show that I did about the gifts of the Spirit. We've all been given miraculous power. And if the gifts of the Spirit are anything, cousins, they're miraculous power. If the gifts of the Spirit are anything, cousins, they're might. If the gifts are anything, cousins, they're strength. And we've all been endued with dunamis. We've all been given miraculous power, miraculous might, and miraculous strength. Don't let Paul lie to you. Don't let the preacher lie to you. Don't let the teacher lie to you. The gifts are not given and divided and parsed out severally unto this person and that person. We've all got them. It's just a question of whether we all want to use them. We've been given all of these things: power, force, might, ability, efficacy, energy, meaning that we should be able to do powerful deeds. We should be able to do marvelous works. We are more able. We are, what is that one in Philippians? I can do all things through the Christ, which strengthens or enables me. I have the ability to perform. And these abilities are inherent because they're through God's ability, and because you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. All of this is for you. All of this is for me. And if all of this is true, then how could you ever be taken by fear? If all of this is true, how could you ever be taken by worry? If all of this is true, how could you ever be taken by dread? If all of this is true, how could you ever be timid? If all of this is true, how could you ever be shy? Ladies and gentlemen, how? Well, only if you're not in your right mind. So you've been given the spirit of power. And I love how these go together. Look at this: power, love, self-control. You've been given the spirit of power. So you don't have to worry about moving into cowardice. And isn't most fear produced out of cowardice? I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to do something, so I react in fear. I am struck by some timidity of not being able to do something, so I react in fear. But if you're a person that knows their power, you're not going to go into cowardice. You're not going to go into fear. It's kind of like power is the middle of the teeter-totter. And if you have power in the middle of your teeter-totter, you won't teeter to the cowardice side, but you'll teeter to the love side. And the love simply means that you've got goodwill, you've got benevolence, you've got esteem. You have divine love. You show love. And when push comes to shove, when things get rough, you know, the old saying is, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. No, not true. When the going gets tough, people either begin to act in cowardice. When the going gets tough, when the going and when the fear tries to come in, people will either get cowardly or they'll act in love. Period, one or the other. When things come to push or shove, every single one of us is going to react in one of two ways. We're going to react in fear and cowardice, or we're going to react in love. End of story. And which one of those you react in is going to be dependent upon the power that's in you. If you've got the dunamis of the divine, if you've got the dunamis of the convinced, if you've got the dunamis of the person that knows that it doesn't matter what happens in this world, I'm not of this world, God's got me, it's going to be okay, you're going to react with love. And if you are anything other than that, you're going to react with fear. And that's a pretty good gauge. When things get rough on you, how do you react? When things come down on you hard, when things start to fall apart, when things get dicey, how do you react? When things get dodgy, how do you react? Do you react in ways that are conducive to fear or in ways that are conducive to love? When things get bad, do you blow your temper? When things get bad, do you start screaming, yelling, throwing, shouting, cussing, cursing, spitting? Or do you react in calmness? Sorry, I didn't mean to bug you. We've not been given the spirit of fear, at least not by the divine, not by the big G God, maybe by that little G God, but not by that big G God. So do a little checkup. How you doing, cousins? Which one are you characterized by? Love or power? Excuse me, love or cowardice? And here's what it really all comes down to, because it all comes out of our self-control or our lack thereof. Self-control, self-discipline, prudence. Behavior that fits a situation, aptly acting out God's will. I can't think of a single situation where you would aptly blow your lid and call that God's will. I can't think of a single situation where you would absolutely lose your gourd and start screaming and yelling and throwing and cussing That's not conducive to self-control, self-discipline, or prudence. I can't think of one situation where you would break down into a puddle of tears and a sniveling mass of humanity. That's not self-control. That's not self-discipline. That's not prudence. Wow, this is a lot more than just don't be afraid, isn't it? When we are confronted with situations that are challenging to us, how do we react? Do we react with cowardice, or do we react in ways that are conducive to love? And what's it all depend upon? How much self-control you've got and how much power you've got to stand in that self-control. So let's take this even further. If you're preaching, teaching, sharing, reading, blogging, vlogging, or just flat out water cooler talking, ladies, if you're under the dryer at the salon, and actually dudes do that these days too, and no judgment, gentlemen, no judgment. What are you talking? Are you talking words, thoughts, deeds, actions that are going to facilitate power, self-control, love? Or are you talking words, dots, deeds, subjects that are going to precipitate cowardice, fear, worry, doubt, dread? Wow, it's a lot deeper than you thought it was at the beginning, isn't it? And the bottom line is that fear is for cowards. Fear is easy. It's easy to stoke up fear. It's easy to throw up a video that makes everybody go, oh my God. It's a lot harder to put up a video that makes people go, oh my God. Think about it. Ponder it. The true divine doesn't give a spirit of fear. The true divine gives a spirit of power, self-control, and love. The true divine doesn't react in ways that are conducive to fear, but reacts in ways that are conducive to power and love and self-control. And if you're out of self-control, either on the poor me, cry a river, pass me the Kleenex, have an issue, here's a tissue route, or if you're out of control on the yell, scream, throw, cuss, spit, bite, either way, you're out of control, cousin. You're not empowered. You're not in love. You're in fear. And you're a coward. Either way. This goes back to the show I did about the Christ wants you lukewarm, doesn't it? These things all feed into each other, and I don't sit down and this is what I'm going to talk about on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. It's not that way. I get up to go fill up my glass of water. And while I'm pouring my distilled water, I get an idea. I come back and I sit down and I make a show. That's not always the way it happens, but a lot of time that's the way it is. This is intuitive. This is mostly off the cuff. Now, a lot of it is studied, but a lot of it really is intuitive. So when they flow together and fit together, it's not, pardon me, a function of me planning this out months in advance. Hell, I don't plan anything out months in advance, and I probably should, but I don't. So when these things start to fit together like this, take notice, because it ain't coming from me. It's coming from someone, something, a power higher than me. And I like to think that it's coming from the divine. Fear is for cowards. Both producers and consumers need to be mindful, need to be aware, and need to hold ourselves to a higher standard. I would suggest, and I think you'd be hard-pressed to debate me on that one. It's like when Kirk and Spock in Star Trek, The Wrath of Khan are in Spock's quarters, and Spock says something, and Kirk says, "I would not presume to debate you." And Spock says, "That is wise. If you would not presume to debate me, that is also wise." I'd really love to know if blowing a gasket is ever in the zone of uncowardly, because Jesus himself did it at times. Well, there's some assumptions there. You're assuming that Jesus did it, and I'm going to tell you that he didn't lose control. His blowing of gaskets, as you say, were very calculated. And I don't think he blew a gasket just because he says, "Your daddy's the devil," doesn't mean that he was screaming and yelling and his long locks flowing in the wind and whipping around. It just means that he said something that was strong. And I love you being here, Lindsay Lou, but I don't think that he did flip his lid or blow a gasket. And I don't think that you can prove it. I don't think the text supports it. Great things, rough, but great at the same time. These, oh God, oh my God, Serenity, boy, there's some interesting stuff going on. Fear generally tells you where your work lies. Yeah. All is in control and loves each one of us. Yep. They're getting a notice on the fear behavior. Yep. I'd really love to know if blowing a gasket. Nope. Like a computer. I see so many similar to me. Interesting. Multiple illusions are at hand. Wow, you guys are all over the place in here. Wow, this is profound. Thank you. I hear that song in my crystal blue persuasion. You're a parent. You can't be afraid. You will teach your kids fear. Really good. Amen, big brother and my friend. Okay, awesome. Thank you. No fear, brother. Fear and love are the same thing according to the 7 principles. What? I'm not sure I follow you, Chris. You'll have to explain that to me sometimes if I ever get out to Hawaii. There seems to be huge talk of the Anunnaki. Yeah. And that can get into the fear part. Crystal blue persuasion. Ultraviolet ether. Good to see you. Ether. My Bible says justice, not judgment. Come see the light. Love is the light. Absolutely. Flat out water cooling, Jeff. Thunderbolt and lightning. Very frightening. Yeah. That's good. I'm scared of heights, but I still climbed 25 feet up to hang a chandelier today. Good for you. Could fear have existed trillions of years ago before the multiple dimensions were created? Yeah. When Jesus flipped, see, Lindsay Lou is hung up on this thing. Just because Jesus flipped over tables doesn't mean that he lost his temper. And I assure you, he wasn't out of control. Self-control of the situation you're in. Seek the Father in his righteousness. Hey, Jeff, there's a thing called healthy fear, and doesn't make a person coward. I don't know that there is a thing called healthy fear. I would challenge that, Sinette. I don't think there's healthy fear. God didn't give us a spirit of fear. The divine doesn't give us a spirit of fear. Now, there's respect. I know that there's things that I have a healthy respect for a rattlesnake, but that's not fear. Fear would make me run, and a snake is likely to strike me if I run. Respect says, oh, that's a rattlesnake. Let me back away slowly so I don't get bitten. I would challenge that, but that's okay. People are only motivated by the polarities of fear or love. Make sure you choose love. I agree, Melanie. I reacted in love when the spirits of the 4 infamous serial killers showed up in my basement. Wow, Delaney. Manifest your own manifesto. I like that. With your help, we are fearless now, buddy. Some of us are ready to fight the fear and reclaim our lives. I'm with you, cousin. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. The divine has not given us the spirit of fear. And if the divine hasn't given it to you, don't accept it from anybody else. And here Tracy, I'm going to take issue with you. I don't believe that enmity was put between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent, not by the divine. It was put there by a little g God. Is worry related to fear? Abso-damn-lutely. I agree. Christ was making a point of how upset he was, but it was all control to get the attention of everyone to turn over the tables. Or maybe he just wanted to scatter the money so everybody could pick it up. I don't know. The gift of fear. I don't know who Gavin DeBecker is, but I know who Jesus Christ was. Did I say that out loud? Fear is an indicator to pay attention. Yeah. Ooh, Sheila Adams, really good. I was afraid of heights, so I started building bridges. Very well stated. Very well stated. Yeah, if you get afraid of something, you're making it your God. Perfect love casts out all fear. I love it, Donna. And Marguerite says, love is contagious. And guess what, Marguerite? So is fear. What virus you spreading, cousin? Ooh, that's good. That's good. Rocky Stucci ain't afraid of nothing. Michelle Cannon-Free says, it's always. All right. Excellent stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent stuff, ladies and gentlemen. All righty, I'm going to get out of here. Tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern, we've got Jay Campbell. Thank you, Ultraviolet Ether. We've got Jay Campbell with The Last Stand. That's going to be some powerful stuff. We've got the Consequential Rapscallions on Thursday night. And the one, the only, Rocky, the Emotional Meatball Stucci, hashtag shut up, is going to be joining us for that discussion. So make sure that you are there. And who knows what kind of great and surprising stuff we've got going on the rest of this week. I'm going to talk about angels and angles and L's and good ones and bad ones. I may still do that yet today, ladies and gentlemen, as Rocky says, hashtag shut up. If you've not seen Rocky Stucci, you'll want to tune in on Thursday night. And even if you have seen Rocky Stucci, you're going to want to turn in and tune in on Thursday night. Going to be doing some shows, a series of shows, maybe even a seminar about the Jehovah's Witnesses. I get asked that as much as I get asked anything. So we're definitely going to do that, and some top secret stuff I can't even talk about right now that we're going to be bringing out to you. It's going to be great. It's going to be powerful. Just incredible, powerful stuff coming up as we go over 28,000 subscribers on our way to 50, 150, 200, and even more. It'd be on Rex's channel, the show with Rex on October the 30th. So, ladies and gentlemen, what was that one about? That was about that was a political show. It was about, politics in general, conspiratorium topics. It was not my wheelhouse, and I was pretty pleased with the way that it went. It's not on my channel. It's on Rex's channel. Over there, the man, the myth, the legend, Rex Bear Leak Project. Jenny Moonstone coming up, Heidi Vandenberg coming up, Rex Bear coming up. Lots of great stuff. Derek Bros coming up. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be really, really good stuff. And I know that sometimes I challenge your paradigm. And I know that sometimes you're like, well, Jeff, I don't know if I like that. Well, just ask yourself. First, remind yourself that if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. And how's that working for you? Maybe it's time to unindoctrinate yourself, create yourself. Maybe it's time to do that, and that's an inside job. We're the last generation of real humans. We can't get where we want to go to from here as long as we're operating in fear. So it's time to move above it, and it's time to realize that we need to have self-control and power and love. And that's going to help us reach the up above. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is New Cosmic Knowledge. We are the last generation of real humans. Let's get busy.